In the beginning was the void, darkness, chaos, a vast sea of emptiness without shape or substance. No sky, no earth, no waters parted, no gods made manifest, nor names pronounced. No fates decreed until a flash, some light, and a sudden expansion of space and time, of energy and matter, of atoms and molecules, the building blocks of 100 billion galaxies, each studded with 100 billion stars. Near one of these stars, a particle of dust, a micrometer in size, collides with another, and through hundreds of millions of years of accretion, it begins to whirl, gathering mass, forming a crust, creating oceans and land, and, unexpectedly, life. Simple, then complex, slithering, then walking. Millennia pass as glaciers advance and retreat over the surface of the earth. The ice caps melt and the seas rise, sheets of continental ice soften and slide over the low hills and valleys of Europe and Asia, transforming vast forests into treeless plains. And into this refuge step the incunabula of our species, the historical Adam and Eve, if you will, Homo sapiens, the wise human. Tall, straight-limbed, and powerfully built, with broad noses and unsloped foreheads, Adam and Eve began their evolution between 300,000 and 200,000 BCE, as the final branch in the human family tree. Their ancestors trudged out of Africa roughly 100,000 years ago, at a time when the Sahara was not the empty barren it is today, but a land of generous lakes and lush vegetation. They crossed the Arabian Peninsula in waves, fanning north across the Central Asian steppes, east into the Indian subcontinent, across the sea to Australia, and west over the Balkans, until they reached southern Spain and the edge of Europe. Along the way, they encountered earlier species of migrating humans, the upright Homo erectus, who had made a similar journey into Europe hundreds of thousands of years earlier, the hardy Homo denisova, who roamed the plains of Siberia and East Asia, the barrel-chested Homo neanderthalensis, the Neanderthal, whom Homo sapiens either annihilated or absorbed. No one knows for sure. Adam is a hunter, so when you picture him, picture a javelin at his side, a mammoth's fur split and draped across his shoulders. His transformation from prey to predator has left behind a genetic imprint, an instinct for the hunt. He can track an animal over seasons, patiently waiting for the right moment to strike in a blur of violence. When he kills, he does not tear into the meat and devour it on the spot. He brings it back to his shelter to share with his community. Huddled under a broad canopy made of animal hide and framed by mammoth bones, he cooks his food in stone-ringed hearths and stores the leftovers in pits dug deep in the permafrost. Eve, too, is a hunter, though her weapon of choice is not a javelin but a net, which she has spent months, perhaps years, weaving out of delicate plant fibers. Crouched on the forest floor in the dim early light, she carefully sets her snares along the mossy surface and waits patiently for a hapless rabbit or fox to step into them. Meanwhile, her children scour the woods for edible plants, unearthing fungi and roots, scooping up reptiles and large insects to bring back to camp. When it comes to feeding the community, everyone has a role. The tools Adam and Eve carry are made of flint and stone, but these are not simple gadgets gathered from the ground and easily discarded. They are part of a permanent repertoire, durable and intricately cast, made, not found. Adam and Eve take their tools with them from shelter to shelter and trade them occasionally for better tools or for trinkets made of ivory or antler, pendants made of bone and teeth and mollusk shells. Such things are precious to them. They set them apart from the rest of their community. When one of them dies and is buried in the ground, these objects will be buried too, so the deceased can continue to enjoy them in the life to come. There will be a life to come. Of that, Adam and Eve are certain. Why else bother with burial? They have no practical reason to bury the dead. It is far easier to expose the bodies, to let them decay out in the open or be stripped clean by the birds. Yet they insist on interring the bodies of their friends and family, on shielding them from the ravages of nature, on according them a measure of respect. They will, for example, deliberately pose the corpse, stretching it out or curling it into fetal position, orienting it toward the east to meet the rising sun. They may scalp or flay the skull, reinter it in a secondary burial, or remove it entirely for display, complete with artificial eyes to simulate a gaze. They may even crack the skull open, scoop out the brain, and devour it. The body itself they will dust with blood-red ochre, the color a symbol for life, before laying it on a bed of flowers and ornamenting it with necklaces, shells, animal bones, or tools, objects that were dear to the dead, objects he or she may need in the next life. They will light fires around the body and make offerings to it. They will even place stones on the mound to mark the grave, so they can find it again and revisit it for years to come. The assumption is that Adam and Eve do these things because they believe the dead are not really dead, but merely in another realm, one that the living can access through dreams and visions. The body may rot, but something of the self persists, something distinct and separate from the body, a soul, for lack of a better word.